Sooners get some commitments, and there's still questions around the recruiting trail, all that and more here on the Sooner or Later Sports Show. That's your boy Coop. I am Jay. Thanks for pulling up here on the YouTube channel and listening wherever podcasts are downloaded and listened to while you're here. Please wipe your feet, like, subscribe, rate, review, give us 5 stars. You don't think we deserve it? Go ahead and give us 5 anyway, and gift it. So on today's episode of the Sooner or Later Sports Show, me and Coop got a few things to talk about, like the Deacon Schmitt commit. He's got to give you his take because he's actually talked to the kid. We're going to talk about some of the struggles in the recruiting trail and the fact that Jim Naggie is tired of y'all crap. We'll wrap things up with all of your fan thoughts, and we'll dive into what does it look like going into the season because John Mateer has broken his silence. Coop, happy Sunday, my boy. How you feeling?
Jay, we finally got to that spot where going outside is a business decision. Like, do I want to go outside? And, I mowed 3 yards last weekend, and I finally could go outside without feeling like I was on fire, yesterday. And so I decided, hey, why don't mow yet another yard today? It's hot. And but Jay, next week is July. July is the last month without Sooner football.
Oh my god,
that we have.
It's gonna be amazing and depressing all at the same time, guys.
The talk season is gonna, really, really ramp up. But I'd rather be doing this than a lot of other things.
Yeah, and talk season, again, you're right. It's going to be one of those that we'll get out of it. It'll be 100% results season. And I love results season because then we can start pulling receipts and y'all can stop flapping your gums and being mad all the time. And I understand. A lot of you are skeptical, so we totally get it. Make sure you hit the like, subscribe, the notification, and all of that jazz. Yeah, it's a lot of I get some of the takes in here around I don't want too much hype to be done out there, but the unfortunate thing is that we can't control what the outside world is saying, and
it's rat
to
poison.
Be told also the outside world is not really as stupid as we try to make it. You know what I mean? They're not naive or that blind that they're going to not recognize the changes that Oklahoma made that was for the good. My favorite guy we talked about, Phil Steele, his Bible just dropped. I actually took it out of my office because I was sitting on the couch reading it. I'm going to be reading 2 SEC schools a day, and I'm going to start going into the Big 12 and then going into the Big 10, etc., because I want to be prepared for the season. But he has talked about how Oklahoma, he feels like is once again his top improved team going into next season after conversations with the staff and reading the moves, blah blah blah. But Coop, I want to lead off with this because I know you have things to say. Give the people your feeling and thoughts on your guy Deacon Schmitt committing, because you did an interview with him months ago. And I know that he has been clamoring to get back on with you, and talk to us. How you feel about that?
It's great. Deacon, he's from Windsor, Colorado. Dude is, what really grabbed my eye about Deacon was the fact that he could, anytime that you saw his socials, it was not him claiming to be the best offensive lineman out there and he's coming to prove it or anything like, not that anybody else has done that, but that's a shot at a certain 5-star right now, but I digress. But he's just putting work in, just in the gym, summertime, wintertime, springtime, fall time, this time, that time, anytime. He was putting work in. And he's out there just absolutely, just excited to get to work right from the get-go. And it's been pretty funny because back and forth, he's like, "Hey man, let's jump on the pod." And I'm like, "What time do you got?" And then it's like quiet for a few minutes. And then I get busy, he gets busy, and then it's like, 18 hours later, it's like, "Dude, I'm so sorry." I'm like, "No, my bad too." I'm like, "What about 4 o'clock? Let me check." And so He's ready to have some conversations with us. There is a very, very small chance he might hit me up right in the middle of the show, and we'll have to link him. But it'll happen here soon. The dude is super, super versatile. I know that in our Discord we were having a conversation around, where can he play? Could he be a swing tackle? Could he be a swing guard? Bill Beatenbo loves him some versatility. And after, seeing the year like we had last year, I'd like to have a dude who could be, a high round draft capable in one position, but draftable in another one. And that's something that this offensive line, as much as we all, hate it and call it sunshine pumping if you want, but you're not stacking another 2 5-star O tackles this year. It just isn't going to happen. You're going to need a dude who can come in and knows what's in front of him and says, all right, Coach Beatenbo, you point me where to go, and I'm going to grind. And Jay, you pointed out the 2028 potential offensive line and what that might look like, and it looks pretty dirty. And so really excited to get Deacon on board because, like I said, he's extremely versatile. He's a worker. He wants to come and be at Coach Hard. And I think that, it was down between Colorado, which obviously in-state school, Alabama, which still is Alabama, and then Oklahoma. And, Bill Beatenbo comes walking up with his wheelbarrow up front once again.
That's the fascinating piece of it, is that Oklahoma was able to really seal that deal that way. Bill Beatenbo walks in there, strutting like he's Vince McMahon, walks in and lets the kid know, hey, I understand you've got every single big program out there knocking on your door, begging for your attention, but let's go ahead and come to Oklahoma. We'll get you taken care of. We're going to turn you into an NFL caliber player. And we know Bill Beatenbo can live up to that. He's done it. We've seen him send players to the league that I've seen a lot of you fans be like, that dude's not any good. And you're like, are we sure he's not any good? Or are we saying that because we just are saying that, right? We've seen Bill Beatenbo turn a lot of players that we had questions about into guys that end up on rosters. And so I think the one thing to say that, I did love that quote. He said, Schmitt said that Bo Bentley needs his bodyguard, and this is what his plan is. So I think that's where you're now seeing that Bo Bentley effect as well. Bo is out there recruiting the guys he wanted with him. You saw the same thing with Jaden O'Neal when he was committed. He focused on getting the guys that he wanted to join him on the roster too. So we're in a good overall situation. I think we just need to pump the brakes on the attitude that we're given, because Coop, I don't know if you realize this. I figured you did realize this, but a lot of people in the comment section didn't realize this. But fans did the same complaining June of last year about our recruiting class, right? And then in August we landed Michael Fasusi. Am I crazy when I say that I think that fans should probably pump the brakes and calm down?
And I will say this, Jay. Since 2017, I've got a list of them right here. Ooh. Just so everybody knows.
Ooh, he got his notes out. He pulled the notes. Pull receipts.
Conversation notes. This is a fundraiser for my daughter's Girl Scouts. But I got, since 2017, we have 41 4-stars and all but 3 of the 5-stars that have technically became busts. But we have, and these are guys who, the star system is again written by guys who are not coaches. I love Josh McQuiston. I love him to death. Parker Thune is one of our boys. But these guys and the guys in their positions, they're given the best estimate based off of the things that the coaches talk to them about. But there's a difference between being Bill Beatenbo and being Parker Thune. And if Parker was on, right between us on the screen, he'd say 100%. And Coach Powers, Reggie too here, back me up on this one. But I think that when we get crazy and you see, this guy is a highly rated, this guy's a 5-star, this guy's a high 4-star, and we don't get him, but then we get a 3-star guy that, okay, I'll just say that if Bill Beatenbo and Jim Naggie look at a guy and say, I want him regardless, I don't care how many stars are next to the dude's name. I just really don't. Naggie put dudes in the NFL. Bill Beatenbo, still, offensive lineman for Oklahoma, are making more salary annually than all Texas players.
It's just what we do. Now, this is a very funny thing, too, as you say that. So I got bored. And I'm only pointing this out for one reason, and I would like y'all to understand that this is not a quote-unquote shot at anybody in this world or fans or anything. But I want y'all to remember something. I went back and I looked, and I would like y'all to do it, too. You can search the channel here at Unfair Sports. If you're on the main channel, if you're on the other channel, Unfair Sports Show with Jay, come to the other channel, Unfair Sports. And I want you to search in the videos, and I want you to search for the Ryan Fogier commitment video. And you know what I'm going to do, Coop? I'm in a good mood.
I know what you're saying.
I'm going to pull it up real quick. I'm going to pull it up. Let me see. I'm going to pull up the commitment video. And I want y'all to go in there, and I want you to read the comments. Because when I dropped that video, at that time, Fogier was not ranked by 2 different recruiting sites, and he was a 3-star on 3 as well as 247. He was not considered, top player. He was not considered someone that, he wasn't that big of a deal. And he was the first commitment for Oklahoma. I found it. I'm going to post it, this video in here for you all. I want y'all to go just look at the comments of this video. Go look at the comments section. It's bad.
It's crazy because
it's bad.
I'm not going to take shots of dudes who are 5-stars and something happened, like a Trajan Bridges, got himself up into some, bad stuff. And we don't know what his path would have been. We don't know what Rhett Bomar's path would have been. But I'm just going to read some 3-star guys. This is from only 17, Jay. So, about 7 years, right? And so I've got Ramondre Stevenson was a 3-star guy. Everybody's joke on Twitter message boards was Sam Bradford was a 3-star. Hollywood Brown, a 3-star. Jeremiah Hall, a 3-star. Kenneth Murray, a 3-star. Trey Norwood, Jordan Kelly, Brian Asamoah, DTY, Turner Yell, Braden Willis. So, there are so many of these 3-star guys who everybody, sees and is like, well, man, that's nobody. X-Rob was a 3-star. You gotta just find it that the stars are based off of a lot of different things, but once you get here, you got to have the right attitude. We've seen guys who get here and they don't have the correct attitude, and they feel like it's going to be just a transition up. Hey, I'm the best player on my team. None of these other guys are going D1, but when I go up there, I'll be with other guys that are just as good as me, and our team will just be better. Well, that's not necessarily how that works.
Yep.
Boganowski was a 3-star. So
it happens. And I'm pointing this out, and I'm wanting to have this conversation mainly to not, and like I said, it's more so for you all to understand that it's June. Like, we haven't got the final rankings of any of these players. Like, if they have senior seasons that are ridiculous, they're going to fly up. Like, so here, this was after, he committed the beginning of February, because I was actually headed on a cruise, and I dropped the video right before I set sail. This was February 26th was his first update. This is when you saw him go 4-star, number 161 at on 3. And a lot of these rankings jumped up because of why? Bill Beatenbo in Oklahoma was looking at him. 247 still had him unranked 3-star. ESPN had 0 about him. Same thing with Rivals. He was a 4-star, not rated. He moved up with all of them after his commitment. Okay, so you're wondering, Jay, what does that mean? Hold a second. I'm going to give you the next update that this kid had on July 8th. July 8th, Ryan Fogier jumped up 4-star on everybody's board. 100, and then number 89 nationally, 247, 46 on 3, 207th on ESPN, and Rivals didn't have him rated yet. Yeah, okay. I get it. Yeah, you're probably like, oh, Jay, where are we going here? Where are we going with that? Fogier finished as a top 10 tackle in the class. Number 11 for on 3, 247 had him rated as a commit. Let me go to his high school stuff real quick. Takes a minute. He was 14th on 247's composite, 11 on 3. He was 100 ranked top 100 and on 3 at number 76, while 247 had him as number 70. Point being, give it some time. Just give it a minute, folks. I promise you're going to say and see something different. Give it some minute. And on that, Sooner Cowboy asked a very good question. I think Fogier's probably going to start off as a guard and then move to right tackle later. I think he actually may see run right behind Fabechi Wewu at right guard.
And I think that, that's not something that's brand new. That was something that started getting kind of tossed around when we were still in on Ty Haywood and a lot of the other, high-ranking guys for that class was, well, you can't take 4 5-star guards, tackles, and play them all, right? Like, somebody's leaving. So, if it's just you want to be a hoarder, that's one thing is, like, at offensive linemen, what are we going to do with 4 5-star tackles in one class? Like, 2 of those dudes are leaving. Would you rather be upset that we are losing a 5-star and have to deal with the trolls, or would you rather just get 2 guys who decided to show up and said, all right, that's your side, that's my side, let's go work. And I like it. And, I think that some of the things that is happening right now with everybody's frustration around this is you see there's a lot of schools that are, using different, strategies, trying to get stuff in before July. Listen, I mean, Naggie is really good at his job. And I think that, like, he's so good at his job, that's why he's been clapping back in the comments on socials right now, because he knows who he is. It's only based off of several years of success. And it's crazy that I see dude on Twitter who is a truck driver, saying, like, man, what the hell's Naggie doing? And I'm like, I've forgotten. We should have told Jim that Trucker Jim decided that this was a bad offer, or we should have given him more money.
And like I said, I'm not going after particular ones, but we did see that Naggie has gone after some Sooner fans, which I think is hilarious. I like the fact that we are seeing our GM be active in the fan base, especially in the socials. And he has to be, because he's in the era of social media with these young players. He needs to get on there to be able to find them, see who they are, and find everything we're looking for. And I do like the fact that he's popping it up and chopping it up with y'all. Yeah. And for a lot of the sites, depending on the site you're dealing with, that's really what it is. 5 stars are projected first-round picks. Coach Powers is 100% right. The key thing is, how good can you play? Now, we're going to talk about some of the whiffs that we've seen on the recruiting trail, and me and Coop will kind of give heads and tails as to what that means. We'll do that in just a moment. But my thing with the Schmitt pickup is I don't want to cloud it by us being upset that he is right now the highest ranked lineman in the class, when you're probably going to see a bunch of updates on these players here, because a lot of them went to camps. So you're going to see dudes skyrocket. Like, for example, hey, Coop, did you see Bo Bentley and his rankings and how that has changed recently?
I sure did, Jay, because you sent it to me.
Yeah, I sent it to all of y'all because I was pretty excited. I would like to appreciate it. Exactly. So Bo Bentley came in, and I'm gonna hold a second. Let me get the original. I think we should do the comparisons. The only place where Bo Bentley really didn't see the that wasn't very highly rated was ESPN. And I tell people quite often that ESPN takes their time. They usually do 2 to 3 updates. They're the only recruiting industry site that doesn't do it like all the time. Like they're not doing it like 4 or 5 times a year. They usually do it like 2 or 3 times. Like they'll do it this summer.
Can't afford to.
That too. But they'll do it they'll do it now. Usually here in the summer, which I think they did it last week, and then they'll make another adjustment closer to signing day, and that's when you start seeing the final locations of people. Well, let me share this for the people. This is where. Let me see. Nope, I don't like the way that looks. Let me see if this. Let me make it smaller. Give me a second. There we go. That's exactly how I wanted it to look. About right there. All right, that'll work. Yeah, give me a second. I know I'm moving slow. Let's see if this looks good. This should work. All right, this was Bo Bentley's rankings when he committed. 41st on On3. He was 78th on 247. ESPN him at 261, number 6, and 102 on Rivals. Again, Bo did these camps recently. And when Bo did these camps, guess what? Though that Rivals camp, I think it was a Rivals 5-star camp and another camp he did, all of his numbers jumped. And let me show you what those numbers look like now. And this is why I said, hey, guys, we should probably take our time, just wait it out on the way we feel about stuff. This is where Bo is today. ESPN updated him. He moved from 261 to 168. He jumped just under 100 spots by doing camps. Just saying. And I think that also is a little bit of an Oklahoma bump. I know a lot of you feel like the Oklahoma recruits always see a drop and it's worse. No. We usually see, more times than not, we see a bigger jump than we see a drop.
And I think that most of the times when the drops happen, they're guys who had such a high rating based off their sophomore season and projection, and then the junior season just didn't increase along with the expectations. And so when the senior season hits around, you got other guys who had not been seen, late growers, et cetera. And so all in all, I mean, I know the recruiting rankings suck right now. They're not terrific. We're not done yet, but it's not high up there. But I just say that I went back and I did the math a while back. I think Texas, since like 2000, had out-recruited us. I want to say it was all but like 3 or 4 times, maybe. Like every year except for 3 or 4 years. What's that head-to-head record look like since that?
That's all that matters.
It's the coaching. It's the desire.
It's everything.
It's it is. Now, and I'm saying there are guys who are going to be hard workers that still go to Texas. There's going to be 3 stars and 4 stars that go to Texas and ball out and should have been re-ranked. Going to just be.
You're frightening. Just got himself. He said he got his veggie garden this year.
Oh.
Texas, it's just too hot.
It's we understand. With all this rain, we haven't been able to do any tomatoes because it's just been like a monsoon just day after day after day. But no, that's what I am eating. After I mowed, I grilled up some pork chops and some burgers on the Blackstone out back, and I'm still sweating. So eating little veggies out of the garden. But
nothing wrong with that.
All in all, Jay, I just go with this is. Let's have some truth, some non-sunshine. People are lighting us up because of the injury history, recency bias on the injury history. Happened one time out of how many decades of OU football, and all of a sudden it's a fact. But the recency bias around the injury history, the injuries around wide receivers, the piss poor offense last year, all of that is happening, and it's working. It's working against us because you say that, and then you offer right around the same amount of money as OU, and all of a sudden, it's, do I want to, you never can know. In the, if we have any attorneys in here, in the court of law, you don't have to prove innocence. You have to create a doubt of guilt. Mm-hmm. That's what it is. You get one or two people who say, I'm not sure, I can't say guilty. You win. That's it. And so, with some of these kids, the money is out there. It's no longer something pretend. It's no longer something that you have to hide. And there's a lot of it. And so how do you fix it? We go out on the field this year and give them a proof concept.
That's what you got to do.
I will say that I do not know what our record is going to be. We have done our predictions as of pre-fall.
Yep.
I do know this. Jay Knott, our offensive line, and John Mateer will bump us at least 2 games, I think, on a bare minimum. Bare minimum. And everybody said, man, if we had anything resembling an offense last year, it would have been 8-4. Right? Everybody said that. I can promise you it's going to happen. It is going to be a bump in the offense.
It's all you need. Now, the to go with that, thank y'all for pulling up. Hit the like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe, rate, review. Give us 5. The big thing, as Coop mentioned, is that we're dealing with a substantial amount of negative recruiting.
Very much.
For Oklahoma, for the Sooners to be successful this season in recruiting, they will have to be successful on the field. Period. The negative recruiting is, as Coop just mentioned, it's working. And that's okay. You want to know why it's okay? Because we go on the field and we show the opposite product that we showed last year. That shuts all of that up. But you have to do it. Emmett Jones built himself a reputation of really developing dudes that we were concerned about. Then he dealt with all the injuries and had to quickly develop young players and help them figure it out early. Still got to have somebody throw the ball to them consistently. And now you have a situation where it's a lot better. John Mateer had some things to say about that this week at the Manning Passing Academy. So John Mateer was out. He is one of the counselors at the Manning Passing Academy. You saw Arch Manning, of course. You saw Garrett Nussmeier. I think I saw Sean Levitt, Lenore Sellers out there throwing it. Had a few good, group of quarterbacks out there teaching. And so you got to see some drills where you saw the quarterbacks throw the ball. You saw Mateer. You saw Arch, some deep passes and all of that, which was, of course, fun. And Mateer had some things to say around Oklahoma and the guys around him. And this is George Stoya. Shout out to him. This is what he said. Mateer glowed about his teammates and offensive coordinator Ben Arbuckle yesterday at the Manning Passing Academy. He told me the offense has grown a lot since he arrived and that they have a bunch of dudes around him, including new additions, Jermichael Carter and Jaden Ott. And, of course, Naggie, quote, took a screenshot of it, quoted it up and said, he said, dudes, and with the little smiley, smirky face. What does that mean, ladies and gentlemen? I think John Mateer is now sold on it. I think he's sold on what the hell we're going to be doing this year. And as he talked about it, Coop, I think the thing that got me the most excited is that he pointed out that not only is this team grown and gotten better over time of, going through the system, that now that he's in his 3rd year, his classroom load is a lot less in comparison to it was, his first 3 years in college. Because, because he's a red shirt, he's at the point where he can take a lighter load, and now he can focus more on film and focus more on the playbook. That got your boy excited.
100% truth. You broke my game face. He said, I had no idea all your players would die though last year.
I mean, right? None of us.
Nobody did. Nobody did. Nobody did. I mean, first of all, for those taking shots at like, hey, look at the ball Mateer threw on air. Look at the ball Arch threw on air. That's not the ground that you take your stand on. I mean, you're throwing the same deal. There's nobody drilling you in the face if you take an extra half a second to pass the ball. Situational, etc. Some dudes are gamers. Some guys are practice wizards. And we brought it up 2 years ago that after year one in the Venables defense, you had guys like Ethan Downs, Billy Bowman, Danny Stutzman out there able to coach and recognize adjustments, put people in good spots. Because you think about it, you get a new system in, and everybody, where nobody has played in it yet, Danny couldn't help the defensive linemen line up properly. Danny couldn't turn around and look at the safeties or the defensive backs and say, hey, you guys are lined up right. He was trying to figure out where the hell he was supposed to be. And after seeing film and film and film, we saw it. We saw it, I know that we made a huge deal about, Danny, I think it was Danny, walked up and slapped Jaden Jackson on the backside and moved him over right before just an absolute blow-up in the spring game last year. Well, that's the situation with Mateer coming in. Is it's not just Arbuckle out there, trying to get people to do the right things. The offensive schemes are different, but it's not like they went from teaching lacrosse to water polo. It's still football. There's still a lot of the same plays. It's just having the idea of what the switches are, what the audibles are, and when it's just an offensive coordinator trying to change all these things, that's tough. When you also have the captain of your offense knowing exactly what to do, that helps out tremendously. And they're just, what are they just, Coach Powers, how many practices have they had yet at this point? Isn't it 30 practices, really? Somewhere around there, and then a lot of, unscripted, non-coached practices. So when they come back in the fall, everybody's going to have a much better idea on the offense what to do. Now, what really is going to lead this, Jay, is what is this offensive line going to do? Because last year, it was like playing Yahtzee. You just dumped the dice out, and you were like, all right, how do we put this crap together? And what do we potentially have? And we saw some, jumps at the end of the year with some of the guys who, Logan Howland, bless his heart. If I was him, I'd have quit football. I'd have become a monk. I'd have moved to Tibet because after that South Carolina and those Ole Miss games, nobody would have blamed him. Everybody would have been like, "We understand, dude. We really do understand. Good luck. Say hi to the Shaolin priest there for us." But I think that this offensive line now has a mixture of young talent, great potential, and then the experience and then the super athleticism of the new guys. Not only do you have Fasusi and Foje coming in, you still have Afalava, who's coming off of knee surgery. You got guys coming all over the place into this offensive line scheme wanting to get on the field. And I think that we're going to see this offensive line. Is it going to be a Joe Moore award-winning offensive line this year? I don't think so. But do they have that potential maybe the following year? I think they really do.
No, I agree with you there. And I wondered, I guess that leads to the next question that's going to come down the line here, Coop, is will John Mateer come back for another season? He has
I hope he doesn't.
Possibility. He does. He has the ability, based upon his experience and his classification, he can come back next year for one more year. I know that we would prefer him to be so good that he does not come back, but that does lead to opportunity, which means it'll be him, Michael Hawkins. You'll have Jet New with Neubauer, and then Bo Bentley comes in right behind him. And so you kind of got like a little log jam of quarterbacks. And the question is, will Michael Hawkins be okay with only having 1 year of truly starting? I don't know, but I know within our hearts and minds, we hope that it does not come down to that. But to answer Sean's question here that was in the comments, he asked about saying that we're pretty beat up. One wide receiver's been hurt in Jaden Gibson. We're just waiting on Jaden Gibson to, for him to get to that point. They're just not pushing him. And that injury happened August of last year, which it typically takes about 12 months. We usually go 365 days, so we'll find out at fall camp. If he comes back at fall camp and he's good, then it's a different story. And then Giovanni had that little break, which was not as bad as Kendall Doby's, and Doby is back, full contact, ready to go. They're just him, Gentry. They're waiting. It's less about them being hurt, more about them saying waiting, waiting for them to put them on the field. No point in trying to, put them in unnecessary contact when you can make sure that you don't be the cause of their injury. And so I think we're in a way better situation we were last year. Remember, going into fall camp last year, he was waiting on Andrell, then Jayden gets hurt. Then from there, Nick was not right going into it. So you had 3 guys already right there that were kind of iffy, and the only person you really had was Deion Burks. And then you had a bunch of the, younger players around them. And then everybody started falling apart as far as injuries go. So, to me, we're in a way better situation. Like, Giovanni and Jayden the Gibson boys have been icing to me on the cake that, to me, is Jermichael Carter, Keontez Lewis, Zion Kearney, Deion Burks, Isaiah Satania. That's, to me, your foundation. And I've leaned in heavily on the Burks being your foundation more than anything else. With him and Satania, with just plug in a wide receiver. Like I say, Kearney's one because I think that he now has the experience and he's learned from his mistakes, and he's grown a dramatic amount. Route tree should be way better. But Keontez Lewis, to me, is one that can also come in and show up because he has years of experience, and he's bigger. He's 6'2", something that I know a lot of you all have said you wanted.
And we didn't get to see Deion Burks be Deion Burks last year. And I want everybody to remember the, Javonte Barnes hit versus Tennessee out on the sideline. By time Tennessee game was over, the entire SEC knew we couldn't do anything offensively. We had 2 passes, one against Maine, and then we had 2 deep passes last year. Though there was the JJ.
You had 3. Hester had 3 of them by himself. You had the Auburn one, you had the Maine one, and then you had the LSU one. Yes.
But the fact that we just could said 3, that's the point that I'm trying to make.
That's so bad.
At that point, it was like you watch The Longest Yard, you watch any type of sports movie to where guys are, taking bets, and it says, let up on them after you get 21-point lead, and then the guy comes behind the scenes and says, no, I want you to go kill him. And that's what everybody was doing to this offense. And so Deion Burks, he was the only threat on that team for multiple games. And hell, if I was Deion Burks, I'd have been like, hey, I got a backiotomy I got to schedule because I can't walk anymore.
I think that's different. Dog. He really was.
It is. In the Tennessee game, he got hit pretty hard, and I think that there was maybe the Ole Miss game, maybe the South Carolina. I can't remember. Somebody, double hit him. We saw Tatum take some, really, really nasty hits because nobody had any fear. You were playing in a phone booth, literally the entire offense. That's how you're supposed to talk about the defensive offensive line, not the whole entire damn offense. And so I think that once you get a couple different guys who, Jermichael Carter, he doesn't have to come in and be a 1,000-yard receiver. He needs to come in and give you an option. And so, because if you got a key on one receiver, if you got a key on one offensive playmaker, nobody was scared of this offense last year. And I think that Deion Burks will show once again, I think what he really has the true potential to be. And I think it's literally a 1,200-yard guy.
Yep.
He is a guy who can absolutely go off. And I said 10 touchdowns at the beginning of the year last year after 3 in the first half against whoever it was, Temple. I looked at you and I said, I think I misjudged. Well, I think he had none the rest of the year, or maybe 1. But I think that that's a guy who is going to get. I feel like in April next year, we're all going to be saying, is he a round 2, round 3, potential round 1 type of draft pick?
Yeah, that's going to be the biggest question: is what type of a draft pick can he be? When you look at and for like you said, around the wide receiver, around like Jermichael Carter and all of them, like a lot of them, you're going to need them to be really good contributors. You're not going to need them to do a bunch outside of really contribute. So I don't know. All I got to say is I know everybody's in the chat fighting each other right now on it. And yeah, Friday Truth, I did see the upside down hat. Everybody's been into that. That's like the new craze nowadays. And I have no clue about what those hats mean or what I don't know. It's a new thing. It's something that's very new that a lot of people are doing. I don't know. I really couldn't tell you what they truly mean, but yeah, I'm not big on that's not my thing. I'll just say that. That's not something that I'm into. Because like I said, it's just something that seems to be, popular, but yeah, everybody's got them. Like literally, truth. Everybody has them. I've seen Dallas Mavericks one. I've seen Dallas Cowboys ones. Have you seen those, Coop? The upside down wording hats or whatnot. It's just some new trend that's been going around, and I don't know. It's weird, but yeah, I think Mateer had one while he was at the passing academy, and it was kind of, I don't know. It's extremely. It's whatever. It's the new craze, so I'll let them have it.
I'm not particularly what the kids would like to call up to date with things. And,
I'm not really
I feel
hip
like Chris
to what
Farley.
Yeah.
But my son starts saying weird words like Riz, and I'm like, half of me goes, this is what my parents felt when I said weird stuff. I get made fun of all the time. I still use 90s slang. I'll be like, that's dope, let's do it later. And so yeah, I don't understand that kind of stuff, but I'm a hat guy. I mean, I love hats.
He's got a ton of hats. He loves hats. I have a good collection of hats, but I'm not a big hat guy. But truth, this had to be pushed up here because this is awesome, because Texas did it so well. People threw the horns down, and everybody had to follow it. That bravo for that comment. That's a bravo comment, because that is good as to why everybody's gone upside down, which is hilarious. But anyway, Mateer also talked about his relationship, of course, with Arbuckle, and his relationship with a lot of players. Like I said, he mentioned Adi, talked about Giovanni, and with the way he talked about Giovanni, it kind of feels like that they think Giovanni's probably coming soon, because I know that was Mateer's favorite target when he first got here. And he was big on Keontae, but he's also big on Jermichael as well. So all the transfers, I think, I saw Sean said that in the comments. Somebody, I guess, said that they feel like the wide receiver room was better off last year than this year. I think the difference between this year and last year is going to be definitely availability, because I think a lot of the better players in the wide receiver room now are going to be available. And I think that there's one player that we probably are going to be talking about like crazy. Elijah Thomas.
So.
ET's going to be that dude. I don't think a lot of people understand how good he really is. He is good. And I know him coming out of Chakotah, we've talked about this before, but him coming out there, and a lot of people it's small school, blah, 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 blah. I don't think y'all understand
I don't care.
how
He's a mutant.
Freakishly talented he is. He is that good. He's going to be good.
If Ryan Broyles and Mark Clayton and, Joaquin Iglesias, if those guys had a few more elite traits, they would have been, borderline, Pro Bowlers. Those guys didn't have elite speed, elite size, anything like that. But ET, I mean, if y'all saw him dunk, people, the moment he got, I 50-50, like saw him hopping. I'm like, that's pretty neat. Sit your ass down.
Yep.
From the wide receiver. But I don't know if they sacrificed a live chicken or whatever, but
we sacrificed the chicken. I don't think he's in the chat either, is he? Is chicken in here? I think we sacrificed that chicken on the show recently.
Not it. Yeah, but Elijah Thomas, I think, is a guy who is somewhere between your Broyles and Sterling Shepard. Like, I think that's really, what he is, but he has more elite twitch, great football IQ, and it doesn't matter if you're playing 1A, 2A, 3A, 7A, 9A. It doesn't matter. Like 4-4 is 4-4. The dude is just, he's going to be good, but he is not relied on, and that's the good thing. And another one that I think that a lot of people are going to kind of sleep on is Satania. Satania played at Arkansas. He had some pretty good games. Arkansas was very, 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 polarizing when it came time to throw in the ball. They ran the ball a lot. They had a lot of quarterback run, and they had a lot of short stuff. That was their deal, is that when they ran the ball and they kept you off balance, they were good.
Yep.
And that was tough for them. That's why Satania leaves, is because he wants a little bit more predictability for his game. He wants to be able to, have some more opportunities. And so that's what you need out of this group. Is you don't need, a CeeDee Lamb essentially with a Hollywood Brown on the other side, or a D.D. Westbrook in the middle.
You want
what
one.
You need.
You don't
love
need
it.
one. Yeah, that would be great.
Love it.
I'll take two.
But I say is, why was Indianapolis so hard for the Thunder? Because so many different guys could do it. Whereas you shut down the dude who just got a $100 million contract and looked like a JV basketballer, and then Ant Edwards, against Minnesota, and it was over. And I want to see multiple guys. Now, the tight end is still a huge question mark in there. And how do you supplement that? Is it the H-back look from Kanik? Is it you just get stuff on film, I think. But I think that this wide receiver crew is really going to be good. And I'll say this: if you think that, Sean, I think you said it, our boy over here at LSU, Nick Six, he's not making headlines.
Yeah,
that's a deep wide receiver room. But if he was who we thought he was, he reminds me of a dude like a David Boston back in the day, going old school NFL. Was a guy who, as a number 2 wide receiver, he was a damn menace, but he couldn't do it by himself.
No, it's tough to do it by yourself.
And I think that that's where Nick Anderson really, you cued in on him. You had to lose out to Stoops over the middle, or Gibson out on, what did he have, like 12 catches but 6 touchdowns or something like that. There were multiple different guys who could do multiple different things, and I think that that's what this wide receiver crew is going to be this year.
Yeah, you're gonna have multiple, and Kim mentioned it in here in the chat that there was. Arbuckle had an interview, and he talked about how the offense is ahead of schedule, and they're starting to add additional quote-unquote gadget plays. What does that mean? That means that they're now getting fancy with it. Don't worry. I extremely miss that they're going to be I don't think that they're going to be out there throwing out this fancy stuff too early. They're going to put it out there when it matters the most. But I think this team is further ahead of schedule than a lot of you anticipate. And it's going to be a lot better than you anticipate. Honestly, we have the capabilities based upon the way that Arbuckle runs things, is that we can have probably another offense similar to the one we had with Jeff Lebby here. Now, remember, that was like a top 4 offense. Do I think that happens next year? I don't know. But I do think that, bold prediction, I think that it can happen with Bo Bentley. I think by the time Bo Bentley's ready to play, it'll either happen with Michael Hawkins or Bo Bentley. But whenever one of those, in between those two, I think that if Buckle is still here, they'll have the ability to do that. That would be massive.
And if our offense has a pulse, Sean, you are 1,000% correct. Our defense is better.
So much better.
All right,
So
listen,
much better.
if you my background's in accounting, my degree's in accounting, and I heard a story a long, long time ago about a guy who really thought that he was beating the system, and he would rather have less guys who are willing to work more overtime because he knew what the quality of work was going to be. And he said it worked famously for 10 to 12 years. And then after about 15 years, he started losing dudes left and right and left and right and left and right. Why? Because they worked their ass off for 10 to 12 years, working 65, 75 hours, working overtime. And that's what our defense had to do last year. And all the pressure was, you can't make a mistake. Because if you do, we are screwed because you get no help. And I think special teams also. Special teams, I'd like to see special teams actually. I guess Weekend has punt returns, and we can do stuff like that.
Those? I don't know,
has
man.
the punt returns.
I have questions about if we're allowed to do that because that's not something we've really seen here in a while. We haven't seen a situation where last year, I guess in the Brent Venables era, we have been returning both.
We've been
dropping and fumbling some.
Yeah, Lincoln Riley didn't care. He wanted you just to catch the ball, and give it to the offense because he trusted the offense better than any special teamer. But pop in the chat. Who was the last Sooner to return a punt for a touchdown?
Oh, that's so easy.
Do you know?
That's so easy. Yeah, that's easy.
I just want to see the chat.
I want to see. Does anybody remember the last person? Yeah, hop in the comments. Who's the last person to return a punt for a touchdown? I really don't. I would be surprised if y'all don't know that. And I'm going to be honest. I really would be surprised if y'all don't know. Hint, it was during, it's been in the Venables era, so. Let's see. I haven't seen anybody. But Tate Sandale did hit a 67-yarder field goal at the kicking camp. His boots been working.
There are several people got it. G Freaky.
Good job, G Freaky. It was G Freaky. It was Gavin Freeman, and that was
this is his first game.
First game of the season. Yeah,
because his first touch. He had touchdowns on his two first touches, and that's all he did for the rest of the season. So
he had an end around for a touchdown too.
Okie Light. That's what I said. That was the year before that.
Oh, was it the year before?
Yeah, because his first touch in both years were those big games.
Oh, fair point. Arkansas State, and then the end around. Fair. That is a good point. You're right. Wow.
Yeah, but we just haven't had anything, and I think we kept on trying to throw Peyton Bowen back there for the punts. I don't think that. I think he needs to just focus on the safety spot, focus on the defense. I'd like to see a guy like a Satania. I'd like to see. If somebody told me that Jacoby Johnson, was a guy that could do it, I'd like to see him try. I know Satania, like I said, is one. Hell, if Taylor Tatum could do it, let him go.
Yeah, I'm here for a Taylor Tatum type one. I could handle that, but I don't think I want my running backs or my wide receivers back there anymore. I've lost interest in that.
I just feel like Taylor Tatum might not be super relied upon, and that's why I'm okay. Now, I know that his coach knows all about running backs getting hurt, doing special teams.
Yeah, because that's exactly what happened. I don't even want to why must you remind us about the fact that happened to us?
We all know that. That. That's piss poor luck. That's not like, squib kicking at halftime. But let's go away from PTSD.
Yeah, I don't even want to think about that. Yeah, that was terrible. All right, thank y'all for pulling up. Hit the like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. Rate us, review us, give us 5. Coop, we are heading into the dark days in recruiting. Dead period. You'll have commitments come down the line, it appears. You mean July 4th is coming up. You got any big plans for the holiday?
We always go over to our family, to Nicole's parents' house. They do have a guy who runs a trucking company, and dude drops like $25,000 on fireworks, and he's like, "All you neighbors want to pitch in $100 or whatever, we can do it." Yeah, if he cleans up. Also, I saw ET on that one too. That would be
I'd put ET at the punt returns. That'd be fun. But yeah, continue
get him. But anyway, so we go over there. I will. Usually, July is my I beat myself up pretty bad in July because 4th of July and my birthday is July 7th. So it's kind of like a week-long affair. Usually my kidneys hurt, but I'm being a good boy, and so I'm drinking Topo Chico and lime instead of vodka soda or anything. But no, that's that. I mean, we've been getting great news during that week the past couple of years. We all thought that KD ruined 4th of July for us, but it's been great since then.
I think we got some.
Yeah. Hey, listen. That it's only a week old. You guys realize the Thunder is only a week old. It is crazy.
So crazy just to think about that. The fact that we are actually NBA champions and it's only a week old.
But it's funny because Naggie kept on putting out those tweets to where when J-Dub went off, he's like, "OU football looking for a guy like this," and I saw a couple people go, "Jim Naggie, OU fans are looking for a production like this," and put up the Thunder. And I think that everybody. I do not have any tequila. I don't have anything here at the house. Frightening. Otherwise, I might have. But I digress. 4th of July is one of my favorite holidays, just because of my birthday. We used to go up to Wisconsin for 4th of July, and so it was like it peaked out at like 90 degrees, and we just go fishing in the Superior and have a blast. I've always loved this time of year. What about you?
Yes, this is a good time. I'm gonna probably take a couple days. Go relax. My kids, my nieces and nephews and little cousins, they always get together, as they're all mainly adults now. So they're going to get together on the 4th and do their little thing. And I'm just going to find a way to not be around. I'm just going to let them enjoy themselves. And I'm going to do a good job of relaxing. And then we're going to come up on your birthday, which is the 7th. Then we're going to come up on my birthday, which is the 14th. And then we're going to go and really party hard, because we're hoping that there's some flipping commitments that happen in July, which I want to remind you all. Oklahoma has done its best work usually in the end of July, early August, which is also, to even add to that, which is kind of funny, we typically, we see majority of our work then, we also don't see a lot of the flip miss stuff. We'll see a lot of players disappearing off of our recruiting sheet, right? Is that like something that I think we should be happy about that? Or do you guys like hearing about flips?
I mean, we saw some flips, like a Jaden O'Neal. If you weren't paying attention, then that's the only reason why that surprised anybody. We don't want to steal people's thunder. We don't want to steal their experience, because again, it's Jaden wanted the best for him. His folks wanted the best for him. But I like not having a lot of this situation. The Conley thing was a little odd. It just kind of seemed shady from the get-go.
Smells,
and,
yeah. I can see that.
But it's much better because, how many people at Miami, I don't even know what to, if I was a Miami fan, I don't even know how to take their recruiting, because every few days they lose somebody and every few days they flip somebody. And so it's, how do you come together as a team when you got new names every single time that you guys get together? Or you got to change a new group text every week, because there's cats that are gone and dudes that came in that you didn't even know who they were. So,
who's this guy? Don't know this dude.
Yeah, but yeah, Jay. I mean, it's July 7th, July 14th. If you guys didn't know, Jay and I, that's why we're best friends. It's because our birthdays are only a week apart.
Yeah, cancer gang.
I don't think we actually. I don't think we actually knew about that until like earlier this year.
Yeah, I don't think we actually realized that until like this year. Like, wait a minute, whoa, everybody's that close? Exactly.
What?
Exactly. But that's the thing, though. Like, as people are saying here in the comments, I'm not seeing very many other questions. That's what I've been scrolling through to see if there's any more questions or whatnot. But no, seriously, the thing for Oklahoma to be in order to be successful this year, and I get I want to keep my expectations low just in case. I'm outside of that now. I've seen this team have a god awful offense and still win 6 games. That told me enough about what this staff is trying to put together. Now I just need them to go ahead and do the rest of it. I need the opposite side to pull its weight, and then we're good. But I'm out. I'm gone.
And one of those games was Alabama, and Alabama wasn't like perennial Alabama. I really do wish I had some tequila for this, but but it's still June. I can't self-deprecate until July 1st. So Tuesday it is. But yeah, I'm thinking about what I'm going to go get now. But I just really believe that this team this year has the capabilities of doing an absolute great thing. And I would say this is, with so many questions across, college football in general, I would say that guys just hold on, because once July hits and once all these new things start getting implemented on teams, and people who don't have their front offices set up very well start going, oh shit, we didn't know about this. Or what was it, Brad Stevens? They traded away a couple players from the Clippers, and he said, I wasn't very aware of the second apron. And you're like, yeah. One job. How do we put together a good team, and what are the rules in doing so? That's your only dadgum job at this point.
Exactly.
And so I think that there are a lot of universities that are going to go looking at some stuff and go, oh God, yeah, Mr. Recruit, come in here. We need to have a little talk. And you're going to see a lot of guys open up. And again, if you go out and you do it on the field, it's going to be a fun season. We saw Fasusi September. When was his commitment? Was it September or was it October when he finally shut it down?
Who?
Fasusi.
August is when I think he committed to Oklahoma.
Was it August?
I think
it was.
And then he did some visits in November when Luttrell basically was fired and he had to make some changes, but because he saw that Beatenbo wasn't going anywhere, he stuck in.
Okay. I just remember it was later in the year. We had a huge, gap in between commitments. And I think that you start putting together some – you start putting together some, a run. You put together, a 6-0, 5-1 start. And there's going to be a lot of people who are – that Michigan game, I think that it's going to get a lot more competitive speak about, but I just don't see Michigan coming in here and hanging with OU this year. Their offense was just as bad as ours. They lost a ton on defense, and right now it's they're expected to be good on defense because they have been recently, and they've reloaded recently. Well, guess what? There ain't nobody with a GoPro and a drone filming practices anymore. So we'll see what happens.
So someone, there was a question that was asking, KJ Ford hasn't committed anywhere, so I don't know if he's going to be flipping since he hasn't committed. And it doesn't sound like very many people have given him a committable offer yet. It's kind of weird.
I don't know. I don't like saying those types of things, but there are some things there. And I think that KJ Ford is going to be one that draws into the fall. I think it could be a September.
He's good. I like him.
October thing. He's good, and I like him, but here it has to be linked up. Because there's a lot of dudes on my list over here who were just mental midgets. And you can't, now that it is, we've always known that college football is business. But now that it is legitimately an outward business, I wouldn't go hire a seller to come into, my network who I thought was a T.O. type of a person or an Antonio Brown who was going to be good until he wasn't. and then just destroy everything that you've put together. So those are things. And you know what? That's not what I'm saying he is, but there's a lot there that you got to follow it, because if that wasn't the case, he'd be somewhere committed already.
Yeah.
Especially after what he did at Rivals Camp.
Yeah, we've had some portal flips. We've had some player flips. Player flip. I mean, the biggest one was Peyton Bowen. That's the one. So the question that was asked was, do we see any players? Let me pull it up here from Mitch. If we have a good season, do we expect to see some flips in November, December? I'm going to say yes. I think that Oklahoma will have the opportunity to do that. And I think kids will be more interested. Right now, the most important thing is a lot of the players want to see the product on the field, just like you fans do. Like, a lot of you fans aren't bought in like I am, because you want to see the product. And in a lot of situations, you have to see a lot of us miss the forest for the trees. And I totally understand that, because in a lot of situations you do need to focus on the trees itself, the little things here. But the long-term plan is, and I'm going to drop a video about Naggie soon. I actually talk about it on Locked On Sooners for the show that's coming out tomorrow. But I'm going to drop another one here on this channel where I'm going to dive a little bit deeper into what I'm looking at when it comes to what Naggie is doing. But the Cliff's Notes of that is, this is going to be a 2 to 3 year project. First, Naggie's going to have to see what maybe 4 year. He's going to have to see what his evaluation on high schoolers and how quickly they evolve into the players they're looking for the next year. And that's going to take some time to figure that component out. There's going to be a formula that's going to have to be figured out, and the traits, not only just the pro traits in high school, but the traits that you feel like translate more and more towards the NFL as they get developed. So there's a lot that we're going to have to wait for. But to answer this question, I do think that a good season does lead to flips.
And I would say this, that I don't think it's going to be necessarily flips. I think you're going to have guys who are committed because they wanted to get their spot. They wanted to land in, and that's a big deal. Is you don't want to be, it was something that Jaden O'Neal was really starting to kind of approach, was, do I have somewhere to go? Because you're not, again, we proved it. You're not taking two, highly ranked and highly thought of quarterbacks. And so I think what will happen is you'll have, I'm just going to say, I don't think that tampering is a thing anymore. It is what it is. I get job offer situations all the time on LinkedIn, and they don't even know if I'm good at my job. I think I kind of am, but they don't know.
No, questionable.
But
questionable.
But I will say this is, you're going to have people saying, hey, you're looking at what's going on down here, right? And we'll see decommitments happening. And so I think that we'll see guys decommit and then wait a couple weeks and then commit to OU if OU rolls one out. But I don't think that we'll see a bunch of people who, put, flip alert or anything like that. They'll decommit, then turn.
Yeah, and so Jonathan asked this good question. Do we expect Naggie to be around that long? Wasn't he interviewing NFL jobs before deciding on OU? I think he was.
He was.
I honestly expect Naggie to last here. I give him 5 years. I really do. And I say that 6 is not bad. I say 5 will probably be the maximum we'd be able to hang on to him, because, you're going to get an NFL job that's going to try to snatch him. But I think the thing that intrigued him the most here is that this is completely new. Like, this is a completely new setup, scenario, and everything. And so I can totally see him saying, I want to see this out, and I want to see if we can build something. Because if he does build something special, you're going to have an NFL job that's going to come a knocking. The question for him is he willing to go take that job and have, depending on who's offering the hiring, that is he willing to take that and risk being fired in so many years, depending on who's hiring, or is he looking for something that's going to keep him stable for like the next 10 years before he decides to go ahead and hang it up? Some coaches, GMs and stuff are like that. They'd rather take a job that allows for them to really implement who they are for a long hold. Perfect example, Sam Presti's probably one of the GMs that's seen it the most. People are talking about it now, which I think is stupid. I I get it, but they still think it's stupid because people have been trying to pry Sam Presti away from Oklahoma City for like 10 years. And they haven't because Presti has too much power. And he enjoys not only the power he has, but the ability to be able to do his job the way he wants to get it done with very, very little hand on him oversight.
And I will say this with Sam Presti, I mean, not to completely flip it, but go listen to what Chris Paul George, Melo, all these cats who came through here, ask them what one of the best places that they played was. It's OKC. And I think that certain sports outlets don't like that here in Oklahoma because don't like what I'm about to say here in Oklahoma because he just lets the players live their lives.
Yeah.
Do ball, go do whatever you want. You don't have psycho media outside of Barry Trammell, who's going to ask you some ridiculous question every once in a while, but you're going to enjoy being here. What is there a cool club scene at 4 a.m.? No, there's not. But can you, with the money these guys are making, can you catch a flight? Yeah, you can. Yeah. I just think that with Naggie, he's going to go to the NFL. It's the same thing as who's the next college coach to head to the NFL because the NFL is more of a just stick to football situation. You don't have the NIL. You don't have rules changing because I don't think July starts the next session of shenanigans with the pay, the paying of players things. But if you guys, haven't already realized this is like step 2 of maybe 5. I think that more and more changes and shifts and everything like that are going to happen every year for the next couple of years because the first player who steps up and says, nope, I am willing to you guys are violating my rights and you are hampering what I can earn and I'm taking y'all to court. The first player to do that is going to open up the next floodgate of the shenanigans. So this thing is a completely liquid situation and fluid situation, and I think that we still have a lot to go before all this stuff is done. And that may, Naggie may after 3 years be like, all right, Stacey Ford, I laid the groundwork, knock it out. To the league I go.
There's always a possibility. There's also a possibility that he sticks around, but I think this is step 2 of 20. College football is going to keep evolving, and I'm here for it. I don't mind it. It doesn't bother me because if you want to be 100% honest with it, ain't much changed in college football like y'all think it has. I know everyone is complaining, NIL has ruined football. It's the same schools getting the same players they were going to get before NIL and after. It's all the same. Like it's the only schools that have surprised us in getting more players than we would have expected now is SMU. That's it. And Texas Tech. They're probably the 2 schools that have dove headfirst into NIL and have really capitalized on it. But outside of those 2, let's be honest.
Yeah.
How many have really done anything with it that we're not used to? We're used to Maryland landing a random 5-star. We're used to North Carolina landing a random 5-star. We're also used to Georgia, Alabama, Texas. We're used to Florida. We're used to Oklahoma randomly doing it. Ohio State, Michigan, all the same schools. USC, all the same schools that typically get high-end players. They're just getting the same dudes they're usually getting. It ain't much of a change.
You may see the pop up like last year with Georgia Tech pulling the 5-star offensive lineman. You may see that situation, but look at basketball. News broke the other day of a dude who was from the Virginia area, 5-star basketball player, committed to Virginia Commonwealth, VCU. So yeah, it happens still. It happens. That happens all
basketball,
the time.
Basketball. BYU. I'm sorry. BYU's the other one that's really out there burning it because Ryan Smith, the owner of the Utah Jazz and the Utah Mammoths of the NHL, wants BYU to be good. So you're seeing some small pop-ups, but you ain't getting as much. But Chuck, to answer your question, you're asking about negative recruiting, and let me explain what negative recruiting actually is. It's not tampering. Negative recruiting is when they walk into a room, and let me explain what I mean by this too. Negative recruiting is when a coach walks into a room and say, "Hey, you saw what happened to Oklahoma last year, all those injuries. It's going to be you if you go there. You shouldn't go there because they had to deal with a whole bunch of injuries. They've got all these problems." That's negative recruiting, and unfortunately, this year it has been working because all those dudes that were hurt transferred out. Now, that's no different than any other year. The tampering component is if people are reaching out and talking to our players on our roster and trying to get them out of our roster. And we've had that. We've had schools reach out to Jaden Jackson. We've had schools hit up David Stone. We've had schools hit up all these kids and trying to get them to leave. That's tampering. And I think, honestly, that's going to be a lot tougher because once the rev share portion kicks in, you're going to see all these buyouts. And schools are going to be willing to pay buyouts. Don't get it twisted, just like in the pros. And I think that actually gets, to me, is what's going to lead to the buyout world is going to really change, to me, college football the most, because it'll be where you'll actually see schools thinking about, all right, do I really want to pay that dude's buyout and actually take him? Am I really that interested in this kid? That's going to, because you're not going to, if you're shopping kids around, you got to keep in mind that buyout's going to be there. And when that buyout has to go through, a lot of schools are, not for everybody. There's going to be some. But then at the same time, you're at the school that they're at. The school's probably going to be like, I mean, we got rev share, we can do that. Now, granted, overall with all of this, it's still in the same realm if you really think about it. It's the same realm of you're going to pay the players that you want to keep. You're going to let other guys go. And it's really the bigger schools that have the bigger rev share pie are the ones that's going to spend the money. So my point with the negative recruiting component is that's what they're doing. They're just walking in saying that go look at what happened to them last year. It's no different than before. We just seeing it amplified because of how injury prone we were last year. Look at 2009 season, that 2009 recruiting 9 to 10, 2010 season, that recruiting was similar. They were all over us of, hey, they had Trent Williams playing center because they were so injured. Yeah, sure you want to go play at Oklahoma?
Grisham went down, and B went down. It's just every single dude.
Everybody went down.
That was, that year was we're headed to the national championship game year. And, that was the beginning of the Landry era because of it. I remember it was against BYU. I was DJing a wedding here in Tulsa. I can name the place, and I can name how pissed off I was when I heard that Sammy went down on his shoulder. It's another thing that I think is going to be a big one is a lot of us are going to be looking at the conversations that start happening around, hey, like the David Stone situation this year. David Stone was a 5-star defensive lineman here from Oklahoma, obviously went to IMG, but he didn't produce 5-star defensive lineman money, talent out on the field, production. And so there's going to be those tough conversations where it's like, hey, you didn't do kind of what we thought you were going to do, so your pay decrease is going to be X. And they're going to be like, but I was a 5-star. There were guys in front of me. Listen, if you're a 5-star and you're getting paid 5-star money, you need to show up and do 5-star production. Those conversations are going to start happening. Boom. And it can't be, but he's an okay preps guy, but he's was the leader of our recruiting class. It doesn't matter. There's no feelings involved in that stuff. And so that's going to be the hard thing is if you want to give a guy who showed up as a 3-star, balled out, and made all-conference third team, then you're going to see the opposite where you also have to take a guy who had high expectations and didn't do as well and him take a pay cut.
Yeah.
And it's going to be year to year.
Year to year. And that's going to be the fun part about it is because it's going to get more stable. And it actually leads back to the Jim Naggie conversation of how long would Jim Naggie be here at Oklahoma? And you never know. This may be a puzzle he may enjoy a lot more than you think and doesn't want to go to the NFL. Because it does change. Every 4 years, every year you're bringing in a new class, and every 4 years you're refreshing. That adds a level of excitement. And truth be told, for the coaching staff, life is so much easier for them because they don't have to do all the work of the initial eval. The front office understands the type of players that this staff likes.
Yeah.
And the ones that make the most sense for what we're trying to achieve. And so guess what? They focus on football. So as we say, Naggie wants the NFL, it's just NFL stuff. To be honest, as we tweak and we establish what NIL standards are, what the rev share standards are, and all that jazz, it's NFL, but it's a very watered down version. Like the numbers are so much lower. This is going to be it'll be an easier way of managing, while at the same time, because it's a little bit more complex, gives them much needed experience that honestly, you'll see a lot of these dudes end up getting NFL jobs. I think the NFL teams and owners will look at these guys as innovators and creators to do new type of fangled things in the at the next level. They'll be like, okay, we could bring you in and try to change the way that we're scouting players or looking at players for the draft or whatnot. That to me is what I see with him. So I think it's gonna be fun. That's gonna be fascinating to me long term.
Well, also, last point on that is, outside of game days, this man is going to be somebody who is lauded by the entire fan base across the country, across the world, or whatever. But every day he walks out, he's in a 100,000 person town, and everybody around him has places to go, things to do, and they go to school, and they don't have there's not the fandom. He can walk around like Mr. Nobody, but be the king of a blue blood program. And it's much better than walking out and being downtown LA, being downtown San Diego, Vegas. I don't think he's going to Green Bay. That would be a little bit of a switcheroo, but Indianapolis even. So I think that there's a lot to it that I think that he's going to, find, kind of like we said with the players on the Thunder, is, you can kind of just be free to live your life because, those guys can't go places. Right now they are the kings of the world, but still I think just this area, there's a lot of freedom to be able to go out in Starbucks, grab a sandwich, go to the mall and buy something and not have paparazzi all over you.
Yep. And Naggie's going to be that dude walking around here and be able to do a lot of that. So we're going to have some fun this coming season. And, of course, me and Coop will dive into as much as happening as the conversations go down. There's going to be a new show that's starting on the Ref tomorrow. Keep your eyes open on that. Our guy Dari from ESPN.
Dari Noka.
Yeah, Dari Noka's about to have his own show. Pretty exciting on the Ref. I'll be tuned in 9 a.m. to hear the Ref Army jump in with him. So, of course, thank y'all for pulling up. Hit the like button if you're new to the channel. Subscribe, rate, review, give us 5. Thank you to all of our Texas fans that pulled in and talk noise. Thank you, Sooner Nation, for being in the chat and talking back and forth and, having a good time. We'll get back to our twice a week in August. We'll still maintain once a week for now because it's about to be dead again. But I think commitments, Sooners has some commitment potentials down the line coming over the next few weeks, next few days, actually. So this week I'm expecting one. I don't know who, but definitely expecting one the week after as well. So make sure you wipe y'all's feet, like, subscribe, rate, review, give us 5 stars. Y'all don't think we deserve it? Just give us 5 anyway. We'll chop it up at each and every one of you. Videos will come over the next week, over the next few days, and we'll talk soon. Be safe. Peace.